Starting March 31st, Washington COVID-19 vaccine eligibility will expand to include anyone 60 and older and people working in congregate settings, including restaurant and food service workers.
Today, an investigation continues at St. Charles Elementary School following a fire that caused extensive damage to the campus. We'll bring you the very latest on the fire that's being investigated as a possible arson.
Temperatures soared into the 60s today, but I'm tracking rain headed our way. I'll tell you when it arrives next. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Tom Sherry.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Mark Hanrahan. A big announcement from Washington Governor Jay Inslee today about the vaccine rollout. 2 million more people will be eligible by the end of this month. Political reporter Casey Decker has the details on this big shift forward in the timeline.
You know, it's starting to feel like every week there's a change to this timeline, but the good news is it's accelerating rather than slowing down. Today we learned several more groups will become eligible beginning on March 31st. Here's what we know so far about exactly who that applies to. 1, anyone aged 60 and up will become eligible. Currently, everyone 65 or older can get the shot, so this will be a big expansion. 2, anyone with 2 or more other conditions, comorbidities. The CDC has a list of those on its website. 3, people living in congregate settings like group homes, homeless shelters, jails, and prisons. And finally, and this is a big one, people who work in certain congregate settings. Now, we don't have a full list of exactly which workers that applies to, but we do know it includes manufacturing, construction, and crucially for our area, restaurant workers. The restaurant industry has been pushing hard to be made eligible, though today the governor said this decision was based more on just the increasing vaccine supply than any lobbying from industry.
This timeline is much faster than we would have predicted a couple months ago. And it's thanks to the tremendous work of the Biden administration of dramatically increasing the production of these vaccines. Now, obviously, we still want more doses. We can take all the doses we can get, in effect.
A few other announcements from Inslee today. 1, the eviction moratorium is being extended through at least June of this year. 2, the utility shutoff moratorium also being extended, that one through July. And 3rd, indoor visits to nursing homes and similar facilities will be allowed again, as long as either the visitor or the person they're visiting is fully vaccinated. Again, those groups for the vaccine become eligible on March 31st. And of course, everyone who's already eligible will stay eligible. Inslee says this development means that by the end of this month, a total of 5 million Washingtonians will be eligible. That's nearly 2/3 of the population. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
Thank you, Casey. Well, Washington is moving into phase 3 this coming Monday, March 22nd, and significant changes are coming to the state's reopening plan. The main changes have to do with vaccines and percent capacity for indoor spaces and sporting events. Let's break down the 3 things you need to know. There will now be 50% capacity allowed for indoor spaces. Phase 3 allows 400 people maximum for indoor and outdoor activities. This applies to restaurants, gyms and fitness centers, movie theaters, and other businesses. Restaurants can also offer alcohol service until midnight. Also, sporting events changes. Some outdoor spectators will now be allowed at sporting events in phase 3. Outdoor events and facilities with permanent seating can have up to 25% capacity for spectators. This means that the Seattle Mariners will now be able to welcome fans for the team's opening day on April 1st. And for Spokane Indians, this means they will be able to have about 1,700 fans in attendance when their season opens on May 4th. The change also allows the same capacity for high school sports, rodeos, and similar outdoor spectator events.
Stimulus checks have started hitting Americans' bank accounts, and several of you have reached out to us to ask whether the relief payments are subject to garnishment from creditors. Well, yesterday, Washington Governor Jay Inslee issued a proclamation protecting the latest stimulus payments from private debt collectors, but that's not the case in every state. When lawmakers passed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, they did so through a process called budget reconciliation. It allowed Democrats to pass the relief package with a simple majority in the Senate and avoid a filibuster by Republicans. But through reconciliation, only policies that deal with spending and revenue can be included. As a result, the relief legislation did not specifically bar creditors from garnishing the payments.
The irony is that this means that the people who are in debt, who are probably most in need of the money, most likely to spend it quickly, which is really the motivation for giving these stimulus funds, are least likely to know that they might have their benefits taken by their creditors.
So relief payments are subject to garnishment, but as of yesterday, not in Washington, where Governor Jay Inslee issued that proclamation prohibiting the garnishment. Well, we are also following some breaking news tonight. Fire crews on the scene of a fourplex fire in the Hilliard area, and one firefighter was also injured on scene.
Our Regina Ahn is there now live. Regina, what can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, I'm here on the 3000 block of Broad Avenue, and right now firefighters are continuing to go inside this fourplex right behind me where there was a large fire just 3 hours ago now, and they are still trying to take out the residual fire that's happening inside the complex. Now, 7 people displaced, 1 firefighter in the hospital right now, not due to the injuries from the fire, and they tell me he is going to be okay tonight at Sacred Heart. But let me show you some video that we shot. At this point, estimators and investigators figuring out what exactly caused the fire. We know the fire destroyed most of the complex, like I mentioned. Neighbors luckily not touched by the fire. They say they took action as soon as they saw the flames.
I go upstairs and nobody was out, and I'm like, get out of the house, there's a fire, get out. And my aunt's like, oh, well, it's not our house, so I'm just gonna stay here. I'm like, no, get out!
There was smoke coming out the back, and I was standing out here with my aunt talking, and the neighbors come around, and they're like, there's a fire, knocking on the door, and nobody was answering, and they finally answered, and they all got out and stuff, and there's just flames coming up the back.
Now, fire officials tell me they were here within just 2 minutes of the call that happened at 3:03. So it just shows you the incredible work that Spokane firefighters do here to put out the fires that they get a call from. Kevin, though, luckily took out his animals and his family as soon as he saw the flames up. And that is some good advice. If you see or smell or hear of a fire, just get out of the house, get everyone with you. And a lot of debris around the house is what I was told by Kevin. Officials say that could have been a contributing factor, but again, we just do not know at this point. Good news, of course, everyone is going to be okay, and I know fire officials and firefighters here continuing to make sure that every fire is out, any residual fire, and they have been working hard. I can tell you, I've been here seeing them really work tirelessly to make sure everything and everyone is safe tonight. Live here in Spokane, Regina Ahn, back to you.
Good news that no one was injured. Thank you, Regina. Speaking of fires, a North Spokane Catholic school was closed today and will be closed again tomorrow following a fire at the building that happened early this morning.
Spokane Fire Department, they are investigating the cause of the fire at St. Charles Elementary School. While the cause has not yet been determined, they have not ruled out arson. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley talked to the bishop who toured the site today.
Well, Bishop Thomas Daly says the Spokane police officer who spotted the fire here early this morning saved the life of the priest who lives here. And he says that priest was the only person in the building at the time.
Spokane fire crews arrived at St. Charles Elementary at about 2 this morning. They say flames reached as high as 15 to 20 feet. Fire Chief Brian Schaefer says the fire caused extensive damage to the priest's living quarters along with the connecting hallways of the school. The investigation into what caused the fire is ongoing, but arson has not yet been ruled out.
He said there was a fire at St. Charles.
Bishop Thomas Daly toured the site this afternoon. No one was hurt in the fire, but there was a close call. A priest living in the rectory of the school slept through the fire alarm. Daly says had it not been for the Spokane police officer being in the right place at the right time, things could have been much worse.
He had come back from actually visiting his family in Argentina, had to bury his dad while he was down there, was down there for a couple of months, returned 2 days to get back, was deep into sleep, and the pounding on the door, which is the police officers, which woke him up. But he said, I slept through everything, and there's just this pounding on the window. I woke up, and he says, it's on fire.
Daly says there has been an increase in vandalism nationally at Catholic churches, schools, and statues. But so far, he has not seen this locally.
It's always a worry that is this part of a trend where people are targeting houses of worship.
The school does have security cameras on campus that may help in the investigation. St. Charles serves 130 students from pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. School is canceled today and tomorrow. The diocese and school administrators are meeting today to determine a plan for school next week.
Now, Spokane police returned here to the scene this evening to launch a drone, getting additional evidence of the scene here. I am told that the fire did cause some smoke damage inside the chapel on campus, but members of the church here tell me that as long as they have approval from the fire department, they have every intention of being here for Mass on Sunday. Reporting in North Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, let's talk weather now, shall we? Meteorologist Tom Sherry joining me here in the studio. And Tom, my goodness, isn't it just easier to get out of bed when it's sunny outside?
Speak for yourself, my friend. No, I get exactly what you're saying. It's great that there's sunrise is so much earlier this time of year. So instead of the alarm sometimes waking you up, it's actually the room lightening up. I think that's what we're getting at right there, right?
Exactly.
Plenty of vitamin D. I hope you enjoyed it today. We got into the 60s. We're looking for rain to develop later tonight. Chance of showers on Friday and Saturday, and mostly cloudy with temperatures in the upper 40s on your Sunday. Current temperature now, we're at 60 degrees, still pretty pleasant, but we've seen those increasing clouds begin to move in. Not much in the wind department, but I think by tomorrow we could see winds gusting up into that 20-25 mile per hour range. Day planner forecast, rain developing this evening. Look for an overnight low of 39. We'll look for a few morning showers and then a little clearing about this time tomorrow. Look for a daytime high of 54. So we got up to 63 today. We'll look for temperatures only in the mid-50s tomorrow. So quite a bit cooler. A chance of a few showers on Saturday and 51. I've got 49 for the daytime high on Sunday. Could even get a little wet snow falling Sunday night into Monday morning, but it won't stick around. I'll have more on that coming up in a few minutes.
No shoveling involved, right, Tom?
Right.
Thank you very much. Well, the Gonzaga student section, known nationwide as one of the loudest student sections, but with COVID-19, the craziness of the Kennel stopped this year. Coming up after the break, how the Kennel Club is bringing Zag Magic back to the campus. Stay with us. We're back after this.